Hey everyone, today we're going to be analyzing a game from Robert James Fischer, more commonly known as Bobby Fischer, probably the most famous world champion that ever existed. So this game took place in the US Championship in 1957, so Fischer was only 13 years old at this time, and he was still trying to prove to the world that he was a force to be reckoned with, and a really, a prodigy kid that would become a force to reckon with in the years to come. So here he was playing James T. Sherwin, an opponent that he would later find some rivalry with, and actually, even though the match was a little bit one-sided, he would create very interesting content on the board with him. So in this game, Fischer started with e4, and the game was a knight of defense. Fischer played his most common variation, the bishop c4 knight of. And here Sherwin went for an early b4, which is already not so common, but even more uncanny is the move that Fischer played, knight b1. The game developed, and Sherwin was always afraid to take this pawn because Fischer could get some initiative. It's never really a good idea to take pawns before developing all your pieces in the opening. So Fischer eventually protected it and continued to develop his pieces. And here came the first really nice move, brilliant move, knight d5. It's a really cool move. The idea is that the bishop is under fire here, so you can afford to sacrifice the knight. That's exactly what happened. Pawn takes knight and rook takes bishop. Sherwin continued to take some pawns, and here you'll see in a couple moves one of the aspects where Fischer really shined in his play, in his chess play, which is making use of the bishop pair. So you can see he's got this lovely bishop pair, especially the light squared bishop, just cuts all the way across the board to the enemy king. The bishop on d4 also controls the whole board, and yeah, it's an exceptional case where the pair of bishops is really that strong, and combined with this rook on a7th, this rook with an open file, white already has a huge advantage. So Sherwin played bishop f6, king h1, getting out of this potentially weak diagonal. a5, trying to create some counterplay. Bishop d5. And here in a couple moves, we'll start a beautiful sequence. Sherwin had to give this pawn up because he really couldn't defend it. Look at how the bishop is controlling the square, so the rook can't go there. Knight g4, rook takes a4. And okay, Sherwin got a pawn back. But here you can just see the dominance of this bishop, and Fischer already had a very brilliant idea in mind. So be sure to pause the video now and try to see what it is if you can. Alright, the move that Fischer played, a brilliant move, is rook takes f7. So first things first, you cannot take this rook, because then it would follow rook a check. And no matter what you put in front of this line, the rook will just take, and it's mate in the end. For example, rook c8, you take, queen d8, you take, and this is mate because the rook is pinned. So a very cool idea to sacrifice the rook for a pawn in order to just pin the rook to the king. So Sherwin gave a check, and he's not Sherwin is not the only one who has back rank problems here. So Fischer really had to see this prior to the sacrifice, and here he played the beautiful move queen f1. So the idea of this move is that if you take, which looks like you're being a queen, Fischer can take back, and now it's a check from check from the bishop, and no matter what you do, you're lost. If you move the king, rook takes rook is checkmate. If you take the bishop, Fischer could take first on f8, and then take the queen and have a winning endgame. So Sherwin couldn't take the queen here. He had to play something else. He played h5 in order to give his king some space. But here, queen takes c1 was another beautiful move. And this one really sealed off the game, even though Sherwin didn't resign here. He might as well. The pawn is very similar. If queen takes queen with check, rook comes back to f1 with check from the bishop, and then he'll take the queen and be a whole rook up. So he didn't take this queen, he played queen h4, threatening mate, but it's the same. Rook takes f8. He didn't even take the rook. because he would get mated immediately. And yes, Sherwin, resigned in this position. A very big win from Fischer, and even though he was only 13 years old and the national master at the time, he managed to tie for first along with the reigning champion Arthur Bisguier, and he won the tiebreaks in order to become U.S. champion, absolute champion, for the first time in his life at the age of 13. He scored an impressive 10 out of 11, 10 out of 12. And yeah, just a few years later, he would start competing in Russia and the USSR and really becoming an international grandmaster, well-renowned player, and eventually becoming world champion, as we all know, in 72. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe for more videos like this. I think I'm going to be trying to cover some more of Fischer's games for now. Start a little series on him. And yeah, that's all for today, guys. Peace out.